Thanks so much. Well, we want to look at Tesla taking on Tesla. Fisker is getting in on the electric car game, beginning with the manufacturing of the Fisker Ocean SUV. It is getting ready to launch an IPO under a new partnership with Spartan Energy. And joining me right now is the founder and CEO of Fisker, Henrik Fisker. Henrik, great to have you this morning. Thanks very much for joining us. First, assess the market for us. You know, we've spoken with Nicola. We obviously have looked at Tesla, and this market seems to be expanding. Tell me how you see it right now and the potential for growth.
Yeah, I think the big growth, good morning, Maria, by the way, you got me up early here in California, but I think the big growth is... The big growth is going to happen, I think, in 2024, 25. That's when you're going to see more than, I believe, 20% of all vehicles being sold being electric. And by 2030, definitely well over 50%. So I think the entire industry have already realized we are going electric. It's only a matter now when is the big shift happening, but we're definitely going to go electric.
What do you need to see in order for this story to take hold and stick to those targets in terms of when we'll actually see this really materialize in a big way?
Well, I think there's two things. One, we do need to have a full electric charging infrastructure, and in fact, it's bigger than most people know. So it's just not really common knowledge. So we need a lot more sort of education about that. We actually have quite a lot of electric chargers already. The second part is we need some cool cars. I mean, you can't force people to buy something they don't like. And so far, you know, there haven't been a lot of choice in electric vehicles. Yes, you mentioned Tesla, but that's sort of been the only choice for a reasonable electric car. There really isn't a lot more other choice. So, you know, we're bringing a real SUV to market. And why is that important? Because that is the fastest growing segment in the world. And there is an electric SUV right now. So that's what we're bringing to market. And I think that's going to help the growth a lot.
So do you think the infrastructure will improve toward more charging stations? I mean, I think you hit on something that's really important. We don't have enough chargers across the country to actually facilitate this.
Well, there's two interesting things here. One is that about 80 or 90% of all vehicle charging is happening at home. And if you drive an electric car, which I do, you know, you never go to anywhere. I mean, I think I've charged my car once at a supercharger. But mainly you charge at home. But you're right, you do need eventually an infrastructure when you go on a trip. So there is a lot of efforts being done. There are several American companies doing it. And I think, like I mentioned, by 2023, 24, we should see a comprehensive infrastructure here in the U.S. and in Europe.
That's terrific. So, Henrik, Fisker is nearing the end of a deal that would allow your company to go public through a special purpose acquisition merger. These SPACs have been real popular recently. Why have you chosen this route for a SPAC? Tell us what that does for the company and your access to capital.
You know, Maria, I've been many years raising money in Silicon Valley, and I did it once before. And I can tell you that Silicon Valley don't like to basically put money in capital-intensive ventures. And being in the automotive, you need hundreds of millions of dollars. And I think the reason SPACs have become very popular with EV companies, specifically the reason we did it, is because we went out and we raised $1 billion in one go. And that's something you just can't do in private financing. And secondly, you know, I think Wall Street have realized that electric vehicles are not only coming, but there might be a few other Teslas that are going to come up in terms of, you know, having the valuation and the value and the impact of the market. And I think that's the key.
Yeah, for sure. And you're seeing real excitement and interest, demand on the part of investors. So that's great for you. Henrik, a minute ago, you mentioned we need better cars. The electric car market is actually seeing a surge in new models. I think our audience would like to see some of these wheels. The announcement of your Ocean SUV. How would you say your car is different from a Tesla? Tell us about this beautiful SUV here that we're going to look at in a moment.
Well, first of all, it's a real SUV, so it's not a hatchback, you know, which most of the electric vehicles are. So it's a real SUV. When you look at it, it's got a ton of features that no other car have. We have something called California mode, where you can roll down all the windows with a push of one button, including the rear hatch, and you can throw in stuff through the rear window without having to open the hatch, which is kind of cool. We got the world's largest solar roof. We got all the carpets, by the way, are made of recycled plastic bottles from the ocean. So it's also the world's most environmental car. So by not only being cool looking, It's super environmental friendly. It's very usable. And most importantly, it's affordable. It starts at $30,500. And I think that's another issue, that most electric cars have just been too expensive.
Well, Heinrich, I'm really glad you got up early for us this morning. Thank you so much. This was a great conversation, and I can't believe that car is from plastic in the oceans. Good for you. Wonderful story, Heinrich. We'll be following it. Thanks very much.